Hi, GeVonna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to have you on here because one part of life that I focus on is people having peace of mind
Yes.
and
Yeah.
all that life doles out at us,
Hmm.
throws things out of left field. And I was talking with you at a meeting, and you shared with me that you support people who are caregivers and you support people who are getting older and working on their food. So can you share what do you do?
Well, I am what you call an eldertrician, and I tell people not to be confused with an electrician. I advocate for seasoned citizens and the ones who love them. I'm in the process of going back to law school to study elder law, but my journey started when I took care of my mom for 12 years. She had Alzheimer's. That was back in 2009, and I took care of her for about 12 years. And then so my life
Wow.
caregiving, I came back to school, went back to school. So I'll be
Mhm.
getting my master's in human sciences with a graduate certificate in gerontology. But along the way, to get all the degrees and all this other kind of good stuff, I was known as the healthy caregiver
Okay.
because my whole thing about I took care of my mom. She usually when people have Alzheimer's, and it was something I prayed about. I wanted to make sure my mother knew my name when she left here. That meant so much to me. And then she would go in her sleep. Well, God had other things in mind. She did know me pretty much until the end, even though she would confuse me with her deceased sister. She said, Cara. And I said, No, I'm not Cara. She said, Oh, you're GeVonna. But she still knew me.
Mm-hmm.
Get the name correct. But one of the things, and people will tell you that the reason why my mom lasted as long as she did, we did healthy living,
Okay.
healthy eating. I'm a certified raw food instructor, but I am not a vegan. I am what you call a flexitarian. But for several years, we did raw food. It just takes a lot to do raw food and be committed
Yeah.
to it. I mean, it takes a lot of preparation. But my
Mm-hmm.
mom, I tell people, and I see caregivers all the time, I was blessed because my mother was pretty easy, whatever I did, for the most part. Now, she could be stubborn a little bit, but there are those who don't have the flex, their loved ones are stubborn. Their loved ones don't want to be left alone. But my
Mm-hmm.
mom, she was excellent. And like I said, we ate right. And that's where it
Mm-hmm.
starts, it starts eating right. Then, you go into other things. But if I can just name one thing, it starts on the inside. And
With the
yeah,
food.
yes, yes, yes.
What would you recommend where people start? Because you had mentioned the raw food
Hmm.
as being very challenging. And as we know, being a caregiver is very time consuming. It's very hard. Sometimes you're dealing with emotional people who will not eat what you give them. There's all
Yes.
sorts of factors in there. What would you recommend, or where would you recommend a caregiver start
Well,
for caring for somebody or themselves, really?
do you want to start with food? Because there's more than food, but you want to start
Yeah,
since we're
let's start with food and then let's just move on from there.
I would find out what they like.
Okay.
It, like I said, my journey, I don't say easy, but it
Yeah,
wasn't as challenging as some others. But
right.
find out what they like and then find a healthy version of it. Because
Huh.
depending, your ethnicity, I mean, I have friends who are Polish and they have all this of the pork and all this kind of good stuff. I don't eat that. We took pork out of our diet years ago, even before my mom had Alzheimer's. So we took it out. But pork is not good for you. There are a lot of things that aren't good for you because it causes inflammation. And a lot of the inflammation, those aches and pains that we as caregivers might get,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're older. Um,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that we bring on ourselves, I hate to say it,
Mm-hmm.
inflammation being the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And all the things that we eat contribute to that. So I would start with maybe, I'm not saying, like I said, when I decided I went cold turkey, I don't expect anybody else to do it. But
Now, what are your thoughts on when you're talking about inflammation? What are your thoughts then on sugar foods or processed foods?
processed foods, there's a difference between, fruit, even with fruits, that's still fructose, but
Right.
a lot it's healthier than if
I'm
you do the
right.
box of sugar.
A
So
chocolate and yeah.
and there's certain now. If you're gonna have
Potato
chocolate, have
chips.
chocolate. But
Right.
now I'll be the first to tell you, I hate dark chocolate. So
Hmm.
I make a lot of chocolate things on my own using cacao powder, cacao.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so I make my own kind of stuff. And not to say every once in a while I might have a milk chocolate here, but I don't make it a habit. But if you're
Right.
going to do chocolate, do dark chocolate. That
Hmm.
that's one. I don't know. Do you like dark chocolate?
Yeah, I'm a very healthy eater, so my taste buds have adapted to healthy things for the
Yeah,
most part.
I have tried
Yeah.
that dark
Yeah.
chocolate. I
It
just
took
don't.
a while.
Yes, yes. So I would start there.
Yeah.
You know,
Start with what they like and then find the healthier version of
yes,
whatever it is. And
yes.
what are some other what else would you recommend? You said food is just part of it. What are some of the other things that you recommend?
Take a mental break, or not even a mental break, a physical break.
Hmm.
And um, I know everybody's not blessed to have a crew, but you need to take care of yourself.
Hmm.
If it's just, a lot of times, and I was just at a caregivers group an hour ago, really right before I came home.
Okay.
Um, I know I had it, I don't want to say easy, but I had it
Right.
easy than a lot of people. My mother was a gym. You know,
Right.
she would stay with people and people love to stay with her. But there are
Hmm.
those, like two of the women, they were saying their husbands, if they go out the door, they want to be right there with them.
Hmm.
One lady she said her daughter now is able to, he'll stay with the daughter for a while. But you need, somebody said an hour here, an hour. No. And I'm gonna be honest, and an hour here, an hour there doesn't do much for you. I just have to be perfectly honest. To really, I think, this is me, but to really
Hmm.
some time to yourself, at least 4 hours. And
4 hours
away
a
from your
week?
loved one, 4 hours in a given in a block.
Okay.
Not
And would
every
you do
day.
that? Would you try to do that once a week
Yeah,
or
I would say once
okay.
a week. I mean,
Okay.
I did it twice a week, but I would,
Okay.
because we used to have a homemaker that would come in and give me those hours. But
Mhm.
I think for your sanity's sake, at least once a week.
At least once a week, 4 hours that you somehow carve out to just be by
Yeah.
yourself.
And do something. Even if it's as a woman, you may go to get your hair done,
Okay.
or you may be a writer. Like one lady was saying, she's a writer, she likes to write at home. I said, but
Hmm.
you're not going to be, if you're at home and your husband
Hmm.
wants to be right there under you, you're not going to be able to do that. If you have a caregiver that comes in, you let that person come and you go out, find a new place. I know a
So
lot.
let it be where you are not in that responsible situation where you're going to be asked anything or any.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Even if you say, you know what happens? Even if you say, I'm going to close my door,
That
you
doesn't matter. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to think, oh, I
Okay.
need to go there. So that's first
Right.
and foremost. And if you're blessed, maybe
Hmm.
2 or 3 days to yourself somewhere. But
Right.
I know that doesn't happen often.
It
But
doesn't.
mhm,
Yeah. I know that some places, some states have respite care.
we
We
do here
do.
in
Okay.
Illinois. Yeah, that was
Okay, great.
great.
Can you say something about what respite care is? Because not everybody knows that that exists. I didn't know, I knew that it exists in New Mexico, but I didn't know that we had that here.
They have a caregivers. I don't have the information handy, but I'll get it.
Okay.
Try to get it
Yeah,
to
if
you.
you want to get that, I'll add that under the video so that people will be able to find that.
Okay, I won't be able to
Mhm.
get it before we get off the phone, but I will get it.
No, that's, yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
later.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's say get off the phone, get off her.
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
basic respite is a getaway, some time to yourself, away
Mhm.
from your loved one. Because in order to be a good caregiver, you got to take care of yourself first. It may
And
sound
this is right. And the respite care is something that the state provides.
yes, yes,
Okay. So
yeah.
that'll be the resource where somebody can be like, I'll get respite care because the state's going to provide relief for me.
Hmm.
And how does that work? Do you just contact them or
You contact them.
do they send somebody in or do you
You
send your
know,
loved one some?
so let me just say it's been a
Mhm.
minute. Well, I
Okay.
didn't use respite care, but I know they have the respite service. So I don't know
Okay.
exactly, but I know they provide it. So I don't
Excellent. Okay, great.
thing and it not be, but I know it is out there. And then
Okay.
worst case scenario, and like in our case, my respite, it came out of my mother's, she out of her. estate. And when I say estate,
Mhm.
I don't mean that we had this big estate. It's just for legal terms. But I
Right.
was able to take off here and there. But respite, just
Nice.
you need a break because
Yeah.
I've seen so many people, and they say that a lot of times a caregiver goes before their loved
Mhm.
one. And I
Mhm.
didn't see it because I made an active effort because I said, oh, I love my mother, but she's not going to kill me, you know.
Right.
But
Right. You have to look out for yourself.
and then people they neglect going to the doctors.
Mm.
I mean, I made sure my mother got all her doctor's appointments, but if she had to come to the doctor with me, then she has to come to the doctor with me. But I have to be healthy in order to
Right.
take care of her. So same thing. You just like when the flight attendant, I mean on the
Mhm.
airplane, our first sentence, oh, this is my baby. Let me put a mask on. No, you put the
Mhm.
mask on so you can breathe. Now I can take care of that person.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Wise words. And what do you think others need to take action on that most people are ignoring? Is it what you just said about getting the time away, or is there some other action that
There are a
people
couple of
can
things. I
take?
talk about the
Okay.
time away.
Right.
Um, sleep,
Okay.
sleep. And I, to this day, am guilty. I was a proponent of 7, 8 hours. And I used to always get it until
Hmm.
when I started taking care of my mother because I would sleep in anticipation of, because I didn't know she was going to get up in the middle of the night. I didn't.
Yes.
So I didn't get as much sleep as I would have liked to until I went away. If I got my respite, I told people, if something, God forbid, if something happened to my mom, there was nothing I could do. If
Right.
I'm away, don't bother me. But you have to get rest because if
Okay.
not, in terms of Alzheimer's or dementia, a lack of
Right.
sleep will lead to that. So
Right.
I would say diet. We talk, exercise. And you don't
Okay.
have to go to the gym.
Hmm.
Well, when I lived with my mom, because I moved back home to take care of my mother, and our place was
Right.
small, 1,200 square feet, maybe 1,300 square feet. But
Hmm.
I got my exercise. I would walk from the house, the back of the house, from the front of the house to the back of the house to get my steps in. And I would make sure I get like 3,000 steps a day in that little space.
Okay.
So I could then, but then there were times I could get to the gym. But if I
Hmm.
could, once again, eating right and exercising kept me going. And then, like I said,
Nice.
if you can get your sleep, I think that's important. But I know that's where I lacked. But sleep and then the break. And if you can, and I don't know, a lot of people, the support system. I think having a strong support system is the best thing. And I know once again, I was blessed. Um, I still have that same support system that I had, but a lot of times people make the mistake of pulling away from people and instead of keeping in touch, but also know when you're talking to that person, don't make it all about you and your misery. You don't want people to pick up the phone. Oh no, that's GeVonna. I want them to say, oh, it's GeVonna. And then I'm going to share what's going on in my life, but also make sure you ask that person what's going on in their life. And if you have that exchange, no matter what, then they'll be there for you as you will be there for them.
Hmm. Nice. And
That's
what is one thing about your field and what you're doing and what you're recommending that almost no one agrees with you about? Because you're giving great recommendations here, but what's something that others in your field they they just disagree with you?
I was thinking about that question. I don't know. I really don't
Okay.
have an answer because I would like, and I'm not perfect, but I don't know. Uh, I don't have an answer for that one. I'm just going to tell you that offhand. I don't have an answer.
Okay. Then I will switch to another question.
All right.
How can caregivers prioritize their well-being without feeling guilty? Because you're recommending things about take time away, make sure that you sleep, make sure you eat right. How can they prioritize their well-being without that guilt creeping in?
Let me tell you something. If somebody told you you had a week to live, and if you weren't going to do X, Y, Z, you're going to die, then if you die, who's going to take care of your loved one?
Mhm.
If that doesn't do it, I can't tell you what will. So you have to take care of yourself. Don't feel like you taking care of you, you're taking care of your loved one.
Mhm.
Don't feel guilty. You have to have yourself in check.
So anybody who's watching this, you have just given them permission to take that time off, to get that time away, to make that healthy food choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's not them, there's not gonna be anybody to care
Right.
for their loved one.
Right. That was
Okay,
the
that's a pretty heavy dose right there.
yes, yes. And take care
Yes.
of yourself. I mean, because yeah, you have to. You have to. You have.
Mhm. And then over the years of being a caregiver, so you've obviously been through a lot and you've learned a lot through that. What did you learn then, and what do you swear by now as far as a daily health routine, something that you would do to care for yourself daily?
Eating right. I
Okay.
hardly ever eat out, hardly ever. And
Mhm.
people say, okay, it saves money. That's true. But people who eat my cooking, they know my cooking is just very few places that I go that their food is better than mine. I mean, I may go out maybe once a month, maybe, but I
Mhm.
look forward to coming home and eating. I cook for myself and it tastes good. And
Right.
usually when I have people over now, I will do a raw dish for them. And they said, wait a minute,
Right.
because I know you with something, but it's so good. They don't know what it is. And I like cooking for
Right.
people, but take it because you're taking care of your diet. And I don't want to call
Mhm.
it a lifestyle,
Mhm.
but the way I eat, I don't have aches, I don't have pains. And like I said, that's my thing I want to impart on us as seasoned citizens. It's not too late. It's not too late. And then you need to get some kind of movement in. And like I said,
Mhm.
I would like to go to the gym every day, and I have the time now. I just don't. I'm in school, but
Right.
I can make the time, and I should. But if
Mhm.
I'm here in the house, I'm going to get my movement in because I'm going to walk. I might
Right.
do some planks, but you have to do something. You don't want to, diet.
Diet, back to diet and movement.
Movement, yes. And like I said, I'm guilty of the sleep. I am trying to work on that. I'm a night person. I'm most creative at night. And
Mhm.
somehow or another, I have to change that around. But that's just me personally. But if
Right.
you just sleep in, I think that makes a difference. That makes a big.
Mhm.
So those three things.
Right. Great advice. And how do you help people today? So somebody wants to reach out to you, who do you help and how do you help them?
Well, what, I think sometimes people need people to talk to. I'm not a therapist, but the way I work is we can set up a game plan for you and we'll start this, setting up a game plan because a lot of times people at this point, whether they're just beginning their caregiving journey or just beginning, and I look at it from two different ways. I do the caregiving and life, but also you might be a recent retiree trying to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your life. So once again, my whole thing is about healthy aging, period.
Mhm.
So whether that be as a caregiver, as
Mhm.
your loved one, you want to make sure you take care of your loved one, take care of yourself. So
Mhm.
no matter where you are, you could be a caregiver, it could be life after caregiving. That's where I fit in. So we
Nice.
a game plan. And I don't know how much time we have left.
We've
Um,
got about 5 minutes left.
oh, okay. Then I can talk.
Yeah.
We talk about life after caregiving. And when I talk about life after caregiving, I don't want to talk to you after your loved one is gone. I want to talk to you before they go. Because what
Okay.
I have seen so much, this is how I ended up doing the life after caregiving piece. People wait until their loved one is no longer there, then they're miserable because they
Right.
spent their last 5 years investing in that person. They don't have a life.
Right.
Want to prepare before they go. You don't want
Mhm.
to wait until they're gone. So it's life after caregiving. Why wait? Start now. So that's
Gotcha.
what I do.
And if I know caregivers, and I do know some, they're still gonna wait, right? They're still gonna wait until their loved one is no longer there.
But
And
that's
it's
where
still not too late though. If they
Right.
put it off, put it off, put it off.
No, but what's
But
going to happen? They keep putting it on. What's going to happen? That's when they go into those deep depressions. 'Cause
right,
life, this is what I tell people. And, I know everybody handles grief differently,
right.
but I'm going to go in my in a person who's dealing with a dementia, someone with dementia, also. You died 2 deaths.
Yeah.
My mom was my best friend. I had
Hmm.
that person, so that's my first death. But if
Right.
you prepare for life, because nobody lives forever. And if
Right.
you're taking care of someone, it's just a matter of time. So one
Hmm.
wants to mentally start getting ready for that. I know it's cold. Man, people may think it's cold, but you've got to mentally start getting ready. And
Yeah,
that's why
it's true.
that's why I come in to help you get ready for that next step.
Hmm.
Because I guess, my mom, I knew my mom was getting ready to go. My brother, like, why are you writing her obituary already? Why would I wait until after she dies, knowing that she's going to die?
Hmm.
Because when that happens, then I'm going to be out frazzled. That's just one more thing I have to worry about.
Right.
But I knew I was what my plans were when she left. I just didn't know when it was going to happen.
Hmm.
But if you start doing little things, one I found to be very helpful. A lot of times people have unresolved issues with their loved one.
Hmm.
Make up with them before they go. You talking about guilt? If
Hmm.
you don't do it, if you've got something to say to that person, do it before they go. Now that's guilt. They'll be trying to jump in the casket along with that person. And I've
Hmm.
seen it happen so many times.
Hmm.
So many times. And once again, I talk about myself, but I've seen times when people have had to take care of abusive spouses.
Hmm.
They married them and they married them, so now they're giving them that vow. But don't go away and let them go and you've got something to say. That mother who might have mistreated that daughter, you
Hmm.
know, you
Right.
essentially take care of it before they go. So when they go, you can have peace.
Hmm.
You can have peace. That's what's important. You having
Right.
peace. No woulda, coulda, shoulda.
Right. Yeah, it is important. That is important. And so you recommend people reach out to you before their loved one leaves us.
Yes. Good.
And
I don't call myself
and
a counselor, right? So if we do it
okay.
before, we can. Yeah.
And if they do wait, they can still contact you to help with
They
the
can.
post or you
They can. But like I said, I don't think of myself as a grief counselor. But one of the
okay.
other things you talked
So
about,
far, oh, sorry. So as far as you've seen, if they do wait, they need to do grief counseling first and then
I'm not saying they
come to you.
do.
Is that kind of how that
I'm
works?
just saying, usually the person now they're coming because they're pretty much torn up. Oh, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Uh, yes. So I mean, they can reach out to me, but I think I'm much more helpful before all of that.
Okay. That's a
I want
very
to, yeah.
important to know.
And,
Yeah,
and then the last thing, I know we're about to wrap it up, but
sure.
talked about support. Not only is family support important, as caregivers, get in a caregiver group. That's
Okay.
what this came from. Get in a caregiver group because you're not the only one. You may feel like you're the only one, but you're not.
Hmm.
Get in some kind of support group.
Yeah.
So
Okay. And we just had I just talked to Kay with the long-term care
yeah,
support, LTC
yeah,
support.
yeah.
Is that where
I had planned to get there this morning, but I had too much going on. Go ahead.
okay. So there's more groups around. So
And there's
there's
and
other groups.
she's in Marion.
Okay.
She does it.
How does one find a support group near themselves?
I would
How do you
start
find
by
it?
Googling.
Okay.
That would be the simplest way, but we have one. What does your area you cover? What area?
Uh, this is going to be on YouTube, so it could go anywhere.
So
So,
I would suggest then you
mhm.
Google support groups near me.
Okay. And then you should be able to find something. Okay.
Because it may just
Fantastic. And churches might have them and
right.
or have resources, religious
Caregiver
communities,
yes, caregiver support groups. Some of the
caregivers.
hospitals, a lot of times the local hospitals may have them.
Okay.
Social workers, when you're dealing with your loved one, but it shouldn't be hard to find. They're all over,
Okay.
even in small
Great.
towns. So
Yeah, in a small town, you should be able to find it for sure. Well, thank you so much for coming on here and giving me a chance to let people know what you do, because I think it's just an amazing service. And
thank you.
where would people find you?
Well, you can reach out to me at GeVonna at I was gonna say at Olivia's Prayer out at oliviasprayer.org. Um,
oliviasprayer.org. Okay.
and I'll give that to you. I mean,
Okay.
somewhere. Do you
Yep.
have
There, I'll have all that information at by the
my
video on
contact
YouTube.
information, then the information about the respite care? So those are the two things I need to get to you.
Perfect. I'll make sure to get that in there.